So today I'm here with Alok Mishra, filmmaker, produced a recent horror movie that premiered on Shudder, correct?
No, actually, we did a film festival run first. So we technically premiered at
Ah,
Fantasia Film Festival, and
okay.
then we basically were going to have a theatrical release in April of 2020, and this COVID thing happened, and so
Right.
we didn't get to
Okay.
do that. But we did debut on VOD,
Hmm.
TVOD, let's say,
Right.
and we got to number 3 on iTunes for the horror section and stuff, and then got onto Netflix for
Oh,
streaming.
Netflix.
We
Okay.
we premiered on Netflix, and we debuted in the top 5, and we stayed in the top 5 for 8 days, and we reached number 1. We
Damn.
beat Jamie Foxx's Project Power. In fact, Forbes wrote an article saying, like, who is this no-name movie that just beat this $80 million movie out of the thing? And then we tried to tweet Jamie Foxx, like, saying, like, sorry we had to take you out, dog. The game recognizes game, but he didn't
Oh
tweet us
shit.
back.
Nice. Well, I want to get into the whole distribution and marketing aspect of it in a second, but I wanted to first say, because I talked to a lot of filmmakers on this channel, and a lot of the times on independent films, we're passionate about them, we love our movies, but we make excuses for them. Our budget was this, or we didn't have time for that. This was one of the few like independents I've seen in the last few years where I thought it was good as a movie, not like good for an independent film. It was a good legit movie. So like, what do you think are the most like important elements that go into making a good movie?
Well, I think first and foremost, like from the producing point of view, it's having a partner in your director or your writer director who's gonna come up with a solid script, right? I mean, I always say the script's the thing. Yeah, you're not gonna make it. You're usually not gonna make it better on the fly, especially if you have no money. Like you got to think about that. Like
Right.
so, it's not gonna get better. So you have to have a good script first and foremost, and you have to have a good team around you, people who want to help you up. And like if there's gonna be a lot of things that go wrong in the film. You can't be dealing with people who are gonna yell at you or want to get litigious or something weird like that. You just have to have people that you trust around you. And even if you're not experienced, hire people that are more experienced to help this along. We had a first time writer director. My producing partner Shane Morrison and I were first time producers. It's our first movie, and we had to trust each other. And we went through the entire process of making this film. It was a 15-day shoot, hardly any time to do it. It was a SAG ultra low budget film, so you guys know probably what that means, that range.
Mm.
And we realized when we wrapped the film that we had supposedly a month before our writer director, his wife was going to have a baby,
Mhm.
but then the baby came early. And so this poor guy was trying to take care of a baby and losing his mind with no sleep and trying to like help edit a film, and like kept on getting backed up. We were supposed to have a director's cut by March. Didn't happen until the end of May. Like, we were just like, we got it. What can you do? What can you do? Like
Right.
we were more of the mindset that we would lose the money. We just
Mm.
couldn't make a bad movie because it was our first movie. So that
Right.
that
Right.
was really the mindset we had, and we were all in agreement on it. And in fact, like David Marmer, our writer director, actually ended up putting in money himself. Like he bet on himself and stuff. And so he's like an equal producer with all of us. So we had a good team, is what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way.
Mhm.
And what happened was that like we decided that it needed a better ending, right? So with considerable, time and expense, we got the band back together, so to speak. Like we had like a, amazing set of actors who were like working actors. So it was tougher to get them together again. And then also our DP and like this guy works like crazy. He's like direct. He's like shooting Kendrick Lamar videos and stuff. Like he's gonna come back for this like our little piece of shit movie. Like so anyway, we shot the movie in December initially, 15 days, then we edited and like did everything you need to do. And so basically we had director's cut in May, and we knew we needed a better ending. So we got the band back together at the end of August, beginning of September of 2018, right?
Mhm.
And then we got all the moments we needed. We shot another 4 days. So in total, it was about 19 days in total for the entire movie. And here's one thing I learned from all of it. If
Mm.
you can and you have the money, just shoot extra days. Like just pay for extra days. Like take away from the post production. You'll find the money. over there to help it, or you'll do it yourself and it'll just be slower, whatever it is. Just get as many days as you can, especially with a first time director. It would have been better if we just had like a couple extra days, So
Right.
it's very costly to go back and do reshoots, especially if you're SAG. Let me just tell you this: there's all these bells and whistles and little dings they'll ding you for. So it's better to just do as many days as you can to begin with. So we did
Right.
that. Now we're in the fall of 2018. We're trying to feverishly work to add in all the stuff we were missing and get it ready for hopefully like Sundance. We're thinking, we can make it to Sundance. And here's another
Right.
thing we learned as well. Never submit anything that's not finished. Because you think these people can look with like better eyes than that and they can kind of see the potential. They can't. They
Right.
can't. None of them can. None of them can.
So
I don't care who they are.
were you
Yeah.
submitting it to festivals before the new ending was shot?
No.
Okay.
We
Just in a rougher form.
Yes, a rougher form, like color
Okay.
correction,
Yeah.
and sound
Sound
wasn't
mix.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is you get rejected. And you get rejected like 16, 17 times. I think even started a Reddit group with other filmmakers just so we could talk about, okay, this film festival sending acceptances out right now or whatever. It's with that. So it was shared misery in a way, like that we would understand each other. Like, filmmakers can only understand each other when they're in that kind of situation where you're trying to plot like a festival trajectory, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we knew it was really important to do that festival trajectory because that would hopefully end up for the movie being successful if it was testing well, right?
Mm.
So as we went along, now fast forward to like we're in 2019, I want to say in February. The movie started to come together in a much better way. We're not finished with it by any stretch of the imagination, but we're in a state now where it's not so rough. We can actually test it with audiences and stuff. And we didn't have any money first off to test it, to do a formal test screening, because it's going to rate, it's going to be even 100 people is going to like probably run you like 20 grand, 25 grand depending, because it's a recruited audience. It's not your friends and whatever, right? What we did though, we did do friends of friends screenings, right?
Mm.
And so we basically did, we did these. I had a big screen in my backyard or whatever. Backyard was wired for sound, and so we did it there. It's a little less formal or actually scientific in a way, because we did feed them fried chicken and said everyone could have two drinks, let's say, right? Well, nowadays movie theaters actually serve drinks, so maybe it wasn't too accurate or whatever. So anyway, long short, we did 5 groups of 20, and then we did a focus group after them. And it taught us a lot of really great information. One, we knew that there was very little rejection in the film, right? The way they score movies is they ask, how would you rate the film? Excellent, very good, good, fair, poor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our movie was scoring in the very good range. And the other score they care about is, would you definitely recommend it, right? Would you definitely, probably, maybe not, definitely not, that kind of thing, right? So we had a very high definitely recommend score. So knowing those two things it means there's very little rejection in the film. The only thing that we had, the other learning moment we learned, and this is in the trailer, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything necessarily for anybody, was that, okay, listen, there's a cat in the movie, and he ends up somewhere bad, right?
Yeah.
And something bad happens to him.
Yeah.
I wanted there to be more of that, frankly. I wanted that cat to leap out of. You put him in an oven, okay? I'm sorry. It's not a real cat. It's not a real cat. In fact, it's probably the fakest looking thing you've ever seen. And you just see it for a second, so you could literally turn your head and you wouldn't miss anything, right? And you would know still what happened. But it's the one thing actually that the audiences who in the real world, when they saw it, it's the one thing we get dinged for. It's literally the thing where you'll be on Rotten Tomatoes and like, I heard you killed a cat and I didn't even watch the movie. Half a star, So it's like, but that's the only thing they ding us on. Like, I mean, I swear to God, like that, like the cat lovers of the world, like united against us. And the irony is that David Marmor, our writer director, is such a cat lover that like this was the worst thing he could imagine, and that's why he put it like in the movie, right? You write like your true horror and stuff. So the point of that,
it wasn't an exploitive moment either. Like it really was the moment that you realize, oh shit, this is real. Like it wasn't just a thrown in thing. It worked very well.
Yeah, and we didn't try to make it gratuitous. I mean, none of the violence in the movie is overly gratuitous. It's meaningful, it's purposeful, it belongs, and people feel almost a release from some of it,
Mm-hmm.
But the point of it is that in that test screening, Like I wanted to see, like I was on the island by myself. I was literally the only producer who was like, I want to see that cat like pop out of the oven and its eye explode and da 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 da. And the audience wasn't having any of it. The test audience was like, no, we don't want to see that. That's enough. In fact, you maybe cut a little bit more out of it. It'd be better. And so we actually listened to them. And because we listened to them, you know, we didn't have fear when it came to certain parts of marketing the film, which I'll get into later. But we finally sort of realized, you know, this is about April, that okay, we are in good enough shape. We had submitted to like Seattle Film Festival, hoping to get in there. That's like the biggest film festival actually in North America. A lot of people don't know that. They show like, you know, 400 movies like in in a span of like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. But huge thing. And we could tell from what is it, Vimeo. Is that right? Yeah. I was getting confused with Venmo for some reason.
The private link. Yeah.
Yeah. So we could tell how many times they'd watched it. You know, like, oh, they watched this like 28 times. We got to be in. And then, you know, we got into another smaller festival. And by the way, the movie wasn't totally finished, and we had to rush to finish everything we had to do. And we got into a smaller festival, and we're like, oh, let's wait for Seattle. And then Seattle didn't take us. And then we decided to say no to the smaller festivals. We're like, I just know we can be bigger. I know we can be better. Like, I know this movie is better. And my other producing partners were like, okay, we believe in you. Let's just try, keep on going with this. And so we actually ended up bringing on another executive producer, a guy named Peter Polk, who's amazing. He's Ty West producer, and so he's produced like just recently Pearl and what's it called? You know, X, obviously, and he's done all these movies, House of the Devil, what have you. He's part of Glass Eye Pick. He was part of Larry Fessden's outfit over there. They do a lot of amazing horror, independent horror films and stuff. But he's on his own, doing his own thing. But we brought him on because he was a very good connection to some of these festivals. And so here's the truth of it too. You do need to have somebody experienced. You do need people working behind the scenes to like really make sure that the right people are watching your film. Like, it's not just you know, hopefully just not some screener or whatever. I want to give it to the guy who's going to make the decisions, who's actually like the guy, you know, whatever. So we were able to get the film to Mitch Davis at Fantasia. And, you know, at the same time, we had another film festival, Cinepocalypse, had come to us, and they were like, "You have one to decide." And we're like, we're gonna wait. You know, the same thing happened again. Like, you're just like, this is like, now that we're getting some traction here, some sort of an abundance of riches where people want someone's fighting over you and da da da. So Fantasia took us, was the bottom line.
Right.
And, you know, and this is a really helpful thing for filmmakers to do. Like, you need to make a wish list of festivals, right? You need to research the festivals or read a bunch of articles about the festivals. In fact, I had done so much research for, you know, the festival run that we had, that I, along with a bunch of other independent producers, ended up writing an article for Movie Maker magazine about the top 50 festivals. It was usually it was 25, but we were like, no, make it 50. And it was a year, you know, during COVID going on. So we just wrote about positive things about those festivals. We didn't write, you know, this festival has really great networking. This festival has really great marketplace, let's say. But we learned so much about it that we made a list of festivals. And what we did, so once we got into Fantasia, we started calling all the others. So once you're like a value in some way in this world, you start then like calling up like, hey, listen, you know, L'Étrange in France, or, you know, this one, and some of them will just come after you because they're just like, oh, you're the shiny thing. We want the shiny thing. Festivals that had rejected us the year before were now coming to us like you know, you saw this movie, right? Who saw this movie? You guys saw this movie. So, which is, you know, a nice, you know, happy revenge. I mean, whatever, not revenge, but, you know, it was a nice thing to happen. And so, you know, once we had the festival trajectory kind of getting set, like, people also don't realize, like, look, this is a lesson. Don't take, if you know your film is better and you think you have a chance in some of these bigger festivals, you should absolutely try for them. You should absolutely hold out for them, because it does make a difference to your film. Like, when we went to Fantasia, we had all these distributors that were calling us up, and like, oh, I want to see your film, like, it's a new hot thing. We're like, nope, we're not showing it to anybody. We can watch it at the festival if you want to. We'll after we, you know, do our 2 screens at the festival, we'll let you watch it then. But if you were interested, then you need to come and watch the film, send somebody, do whatever, right? So we did that. And so that was really smart, because then we had at that point we had 6 different companies that were bidding for us at that point, right? And we also are big believers in the festivals. Like a lot of the festival, a lot of the distributors will tell you, oh, well, if you go to too many festivals, you're cannibalizing your audience, right? And I'm like, if 200 people watching it in Kansas City is cannibalizing our audience, we have much bigger problems because you can't clearly market a film if 200 people are going to affect us. If like 2,000 people watch the film in festivals, it's a free commercial for your film if it's good. Because then the word of mouth, that's what we go back to the word of mouth score, right? The word of mouth will be better for you. So when you actually do launch in those countries, there's an awareness, right? There's a stickiness to the name of your movie that's associated with it, right? The other thing that we did was that in terms of the festival planning, is that like, look, you want to your premiere, world premiere is like losing your virginity, right? You're only going to do it once. You got to make sure it's like hopefully with somebody good, and it's going to get you a lot of exposure. But every premiere you make, like, okay, now this is the American premiere, this is the European premiere, this is the Asian premiere, this is all these things matter because they're going to launch you into people's minds, right? Because if you go to these festivals, here's what we did too. I had 950,000 airline miles. I was a big airline mile whore, right? I'd do anything for miles, right? So we decided that myself or somebody from the film, sometimes they fly you out there to these festivals, sometimes they do, and they'll put you up and stuff like that, but some of them don't, right? You still want to go. The smartest thing you can do is go to these festivals, no matter how big or small, shake the hands, kiss the babies, kiss the rings in some cases of these like festival directors and this and that. Because next time, hopefully, that you have a film, you just pick up the phone and you're not paying like, an entry fee or anything like that. Hey, remember me?
Right.
All right, we have to let Logan. He was great. He took us to dinner. Right? You just do those things. You campaign in a sense for it too. Right, so that you can if you go to the festivals, they are so happy to set you up with the all the press and this and that, and you do interviews and you talk to audiences and you tell them at the festival, listen, if you like the film, go tell all your friends about it, and if you didn't like the film, shut up, whatever it is, right? So but you tell them and you do that stuff, and believe it or not, they do that. They do that for you. The horror audience is one of the most passionate audiences in the world. I mean, there's 220 horror conventions. There's not 220 romantic comedy conventions, right? These people love physical media, for example. If you're still buying DVDs, I'm not sure why, but yes, they do. It's great, I mean, although independent filmmakers hardly make any money from DVDs or Blu-rays. Let me just tell you what, it's I don't even know why. Like it's just like a shit show. I can't believe they haven't figured out a way to do that for cheaper in some regard. But anyway, so you go to the festivals, do all the work and this and that, right? And then when it comes down to it, you have to hire or have your distributor has to have a really good publicist who's going to be able to hype your film. And how do you hype your film for cheap or very little? Well, I mean, the hiring the publicist, if you don't have them on your distributor, is really important. But here's the thing: they're only going to do so much work for you. They really are. They're going to, like, the first 2 weeks or a week before and the week after that, then they're out, right?
Yeah.
It's up to the producers, I want to say, or filmmakers, to continue this on. Right. So when we realized, like, we were supposed to come out April 2020, we realized this, by the middle of March, by the beginning of March, we're like, this is all blow over. We'll meet the premiere at the ArcLight. It'll be swell. And then, like, the middle of March, we're like, we are fucked. We are fucked now. I mean, I may have allegedly mortgaged and already paid off house to make this movie. So I was just like, what the fuck is going to happen now? So we switched gears and we started doing, like, podcasts, interviews, anyone who would hear it. No matter how big, how small, you have something valuable, you have a commodity that these people want to talk to you about. And, if you have some stars that are really good, I mean, actors that are really great partners in it. I mean, look, you a small budget, for this, you have to, like, you give them some points on the film, right? That's what you have to do. It's they're producers. I mean, they have their own points, so it's in their best interest to see the film do well. So they're going to want to do the press and publicity, hopefully, right? And we had excellent partners, and it just so happened that one of the people in it is Naomi Grossman, who is an American Horror Story. She plays Pepper in American Horror Story, and she's the person's wife or whatever in the movie, and she comes out with a thing at the end or whatever. So she's a great friend. I've known her for 20 years, and so, like, I've always been like, when I have a movie, you got to be in it. And she's like, of course. And so we found her that part, And like she was so willing to come on like every podcast because like it was COVID, and I feel like it was the only thing that helped entertain her. Like it kept her sanity because she was like get on and talk to people. It's like she, she's a single gal and whatever. So, but yeah, it was amazing because like we started just doing so many podcasts, and what we would do is we just kept on doing them. We were doing like basically like 3 or 4 a week at least, right? And we get sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So were you soliciting these yourselves? Like, because
100%,
this is after the
100%.
publish. So you're just basically looking up podcasts and say, hey, here's one. Let me hit them up. Here's another one.
Here's the top 100 horror podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go down the list. Let's write them a nice letter.
Hit all 100.
The other thing was
that's great, man.
Our publicist wasn't going to get us to certified fresh, unfortunately. We had a terrific publicist who has started our festival run, and she got us like 25 reviews or whatever. And this other publicist, I mean, she's I'm sure good at what she does, but she had claimed that we've gotten too many reviews or something. I'm like, pick up the phone, help us out here. So since she did and I did, I basically here's what I would do. I would look up horror movies that were shitty horror movies, and I would see who gave that movie a good review. Because I thought if you like this piece of shit, you're really gonna love our piece of shit.
Smart.
So I'd write them a letter and say, listen, hi, I'm a producer. I'm just doing a post-mortem on what our publicist did. I just want to make sure that she had sent you the movie. Oh, she didn't send you the movie? Well, let me write that wrong. Let me send it to you right now. And we send them. We got another 43 reviews from doing that. And we're at 83 reviews, certified fresh, 88% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You pretty much did it on your own.
But here's the thing, like even now we got like 4 more reviews over like October for some reason. Like I'm like, that's crazy. Like, all right, I'll take it or whatever. We need another 4 reviews to get to 89%. Let's see, what can happen. I'll take it either way. But that was the point. You go out and you do it yourself is the thing. It's 50% of your mentality, your energy should be for the marketing. Now, what does that include? I mean, that obviously we did all the interviews and podcasts and everything else. And to be frank, we had a good story actually too, because we had all these disasters befall us, right?
Really? Like,
did you? Well, we had.
I didn't know much. I watched the movie. I haven't researched it.
There's a Movie Maker magazine. My friends over there let me write an article about everything that went wrong with the film, right?
Oh,
the production of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the Mulholland fire that happened during pre-production, and our office happened to be like literally across the freeway from the Getty. And if you look at that article, it actually has video of people going down the hill in the 405, and it looks like Mordor. It looks like everything is burning.
I've seen the shots. Yeah.
Well, we couldn't go to our office because they shut everything down, and we were trying to look on Google Earth to see if the office had burned down or not. We didn't know. We had to just shipped everything to my house, let's say. And but we didn't think they were gonna let it burn down though, because it's next to the veterans graveyard. And God knows those poor people died for us once. They're not gonna let their bodies burn again, like the whole thing burn again. So they were just dumping, like they were flying the big carrier planes in and just dumping water everywhere and so we figured it wouldn't be, hopefully, or whatever. So that was one thing that happened. The other more horrible thing that happened is that we had cast a TV star, a sort of well-known TV star for the lead role. And this is a mistake, let me tell you. She suggested that we cast her friend. We don't know if this was a boyfriend allegedly or whatever else, but he was some dude that was on a vampire, some shitty vampire show on the CW that I've never watched. But I thought, look, if he's good enough for the CW, he's good enough for us, right?
Right.
So what happens is that this is a funny story. Like in independent film, the producer wears a lot of hats, right? You can be, picking up a cord, going to Costco. You can be, running an errand because you don't have people. You don't have underlings to go do that for you. This very day, the actress that we were getting had this something in her contract that said she needed this like feminine energy drink, right? And what is a feminine energy drink? It's just simply a drink marketed towards females. That's all I can say. And I can't say the name of the drink because these people are so kind to us. They sent us literally a pallet, like a huge pallet, like to the roof, full of this drink or
Wow.
whatever, right? We were gonna feature it in the movie and stuff. So like, it was sort of a rub my back, rub your back. And plus she likes the thing. And so she like even takes pictures on her, goddamn, what is it, the Instagram, and she has like
Yeah,
4
yeah.
million Instagram followers, some shit, whatever. So the thing wasn't going to get there till 2 days into production. So I took it upon myself to head to Gelson's, which was like the only place that had this. It's a very fancy Southern
Yeah.
California
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
grocery store, just so you know what that is. So I went to the Gelson's in Marina Del Rey and traveled across town to get this goddamn feminine energy drink. When I'm in there, like I gave a case of it, and I'm like, listen to the manager, can you go in the back and look? I just like need one more case. Like, I don't think we have it. I'll go look. I'm like, oh, thank you. So when he does that, we get a call from this lady's agent. She's out. No, right. This is a Monday. We're shooting on a Thursday. She calls us Monday. She's out. And we're like, why? And she's like, no reason. She's just out. And she's signed contracts. Doesn't matter. You're not going to sue them. You don't have any money to sue them.
Yeah, exactly.
Her friend drops out too. He's the other male lead. He's the Brian character, right? He's out too. Now I'm going to throw up in the Gelson's. The manager comes back. He's like, we found a case of it. And I'm like, we don't need it. So I'm having a nervous breakdown in the Gelson's, and so we go next door. There's a Yard House, which is a beer place or whatever. Yeah. We lick our wounds, just start drinking a beer, and just trying to figure this out. Then we get another call. The lady who was supposed to play Miss Stanhope, her husband has collapsed, rushed to the hospital. He's dead, so she's out too. So we lost 3 leads 3 days before shooting. But here's the thing though. David Marmer always liked Nicole Bryden-Bloom more. In fact, we had to literally corner him in a room and almost put a gun to his head and say, listen, we're using her. She puts us in the black. She's got 3 million Instagram followers. For some reason, that makes a difference now. It's the most bullshit thing in the world that I can imagine. But this is what really matters in the world. Is this person has 3 million Instagram followers. This is why you'd hire somebody. But it's a fucking fact. It's a fucking thing. Anyway, so we basically were freaking out. We decide to push the movie back a week. David had always considered Nicole Bryden-Bloom his first choice. We call her. She's in New York. She's able to get out to LA by the Friday. We're going to start on Monday now. And she gets 3 hours to rehearse with David. That's it. Period. And so fast forward to that Friday before the Monday we're shooting. We still don't have like the Brian character or the Miss Stanhope character. And so I call all my friends like, listen, can you send me older actresses reels, please? And so Susan Davis, who plays our Miss Stanhope now, she's an old pro. She was like the mom in War Games. She was like in a ton of TV. And a fun fact, not only is Susan Davis one of the parts of our cast that was in War Games, but Alan Blumenfeld was also in War Games as well, Sarah's father.
That's cute. Fact. The movie I just shot, one of the guys was in War Games. Al Gomez. Awesome. Anyway, sorry.
Cool. Well, anyway, so what happens is we fast forward to Friday. I'm sitting there like watching reels and like a crazy person, and I see Susan Davis's reel, and I think, there's something interesting here. And there's a number at the end of it, and I call this number, thinking I'm going to get her agent or manager or whatever. I get her, and I'm like, I know this is highly inappropriate, but I'm going to pitch you the movie, and I'm going to pitch you us. And so I do that. By the end of the conversation, she's like, well, I've never been in a cult movie before. And this is at 9:30 in the morning. By 11:30, we signed her. So now we have like one last person to get. And it's the Brian character. And we're sitting in Barney's Beanery drinking again. You can see a pattern here. And we're begging all our friends that we know. Like I'd known like Jason Blum and his team from testing movies and stuff like that. And so his head of post-production and I are close. And he's calling around to CAA and all the different agencies to like make them stay open later for us, because who gives a shit about our little film on a Friday night at 7:00, right? And so finally we get a call from Gersh, and Giles Maddie, who's our Brian now, he said yes. What we found out later was that he was driving down from San Francisco, had to pull over to the side of the road and read the film on his phone, and he just read his part. And I was offended because like, don't they read the whole script? And Naomi Grossman says like, no, we read our parts just to make sure we're not in a porno or a snuff film. Really, that's what. Right. Like, okay, great, movie magic. So then we're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna make a movie on Monday if everything turns out right? And it did actually. Mostly it did. The only thing that then went wrong, which is the third funny story, is that we were parking our production trucks outside of our offices, which were actually in a nice area, like it was on Bel Air or whatever. We were parking them on the street. We had the foresight, and this is a very important thing for everyone to know: get a parking PA. If you have a bunch of equipment sitting on the side of the road, get a parking PA. Get them to sleep with the truck, because this is why. So one of on the 8th day of production, when it's 8th, 9th of production, 8th day of production at night, this white Escalade pulls up, and these 3 guys get out, start breaking into the first truck. We have 3 trucks. Break into the first truck in like 8 minutes. They are gone with this truck. They are parking PAs witnessing all of this. Gets out of the truck, gets in his own car, and gives the truck chase while on the phone with the police. Right? They go across all kinds of freeways. And the police are just like, sir, you need to stand down. And he's like, I won't stand down. I won't stand down until the cops are right behind the truck. And like, So we're these guys driving, and all of a sudden, like near the your kind of iconic Felix sign off the 110, you may remember from movies and stuff like that. Right then, the helicopter light. Now it's a televised chase, by the way. This is actually on the Blu-ray. I will tell you this. So if you want to watch the Blu-ray, we showed this all at Fantasia, and they recorded that conversation, so it's there. You can see it. So what happens is that they basically a helicopter shines its light down on the truck, and then 3 cop cars rush in. And this guy tries to get off the freeway and gun it and do all the stuff, and he fucks up the truck, and he doesn't wreck it or anything, but he gets finally arrested at a Chevron/McDonald's. And they pull him out of the truck, and you could think LAPD, you're supposed to be so mean to people. Be mean to this motherfucker. No, they were so nice to him. And here's the thing: this guy's good looking. He's like rugged, good looks and everything like this. He's probably an actor down on his luck. He's turned to this like life of crime or whatever it is, and so. Anyway, that's on the Blu-ray if you want to pick that up. But those were some of the few disasters that we had to go through. And here's the thing: we didn't tell the cast and crew about any of this. We just told them we were able to start just an hour later. We were like, hey, listen, everybody, get an hour later. We're just take care, da da da. And so they didn't know about any of this until the wrap party. We told them. And then some of them didn't even know until we got to Fantasia and we were doing the Q&A. And they were just like, why you didn't tell us? We're like, you need to concentrate about your lines and be your part. You don't need to think about this shit over here and stuff. Anyway, that's that. Those were some of the disasters that did befall us and stuff like that. I'm sorry. 1 second. That dude is back with the thing. Can you hear it? Is it bad in there? Or?
No,
okay.
I don't hear it.
Okay, great. Okay, just want to let you know. So those are some of the things that went wrong. And despite all those things that went wrong, we were able to take those stories and go to the podcast and tell them funny stories, regale them with stories about production, and stuff. And then what's more is that once we hit number 1 on Netflix, I swear to God, we came on the first day and we were number 5, and Netflix has 73 million households, and roughly it's 2.11 person per household and stuff like that. So there's 192 million, something like this, right? That's how many people potentially have the ability to watch your film. I don't know that many people. Even telling all my friends, please watch a film, isn't going to get that. What happened was what we thought was going to happen with it was that there was good word of mouth for it, right? It had traction. I help run 60% of our social media, and that's a whole nother thing we should talk about. But we could tell from the Twitter feed and this and that how many people were talking about this film, and we made it a point to say thank you to each and every one of those people. It took 10 days of just going through and saying thank you and writing different things, actually. Just every single time, every single message.
Staying organic to the people. It's like running a crowdfunding campaign. Yeah.
Well, we have almost 5,000 Twitter followers, for example. If you look at movies, they hardly have any Twitter followers usually. It's you got maybe hard. 1,000. Even studio films have very few people, but we keep them engaged in different ways. I'll go into that later. The point though is that when we got onto Netflix and we got we got so much traction, we knew that the awareness was going to be there, especially for a sequel. So when you have that potential, you keep on doing the marketing. You keep on doing the marketing. Every platform you come on, you plan a press push for it, right? I mean, what we're doing right now, for example, is hopefully this airs the right time, but we're gonna be on Tubi and Freevee, and 5 other streaming AVOD streaming services starting January 1st. And so so we're trying to go and do as many podcasts as we can again, as many filmmaker things and whatever. We're doing it all because we know that this is another way you make money. This is another very prominent, and AVOD is terrific for independent filmmakers, as you hear on the show. You hear on the show every other day that this is probably the one place you can make money. Well, how do you get awareness? How do you get placement? How do you do these things? Well, you need to make sure that there's enough stuff going in the Twitter sphere, in the social media sphere, whether it's like,
Yeah.
a TikTok video or whatever the hell it is, you have to figure out a way to rise your film above the noise. Getting to the top 5 on Netflix and getting to number 1 on Netflix really did elevate the film to to a place where, okay, people want a sequel for it. 2, people, know what the movie is and they tell their friends about it, right?
Yeah.
And this all is a self-perpetuating thing. It is the most difficult job is getting above the noise, especially if you're a no budget film, a low budget film with no, like, very few recognizable. Our actors are kind of recognizable,
Yeah.
but they're not like, household names. They're not like, Arnold Schwarzenegger or even like, TV regular kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
stars, to some extent. Although Naomi Grayson has been on like American Horror Story with 3 different characters or 4 different characters now. So she's pretty regular, and she has like it's funny. She's like the number 1 looked up person on IMDb every
Wow.
time she's on American Horror Story, because no one can believe that Pepper looks like her, because she's actually a very good looking, beautiful woman and stuff like that. So she's like the number 1 looked up person. So she definitely has a cachet in that way, but not the cachet like the original actress we were supposed to have. Well, I can't say who it was, by the way, it's a libel.
Of course.
But you don't have that. You need to do something else to like get above the noise. And the other thing I would tell you is that, look, you have a horror movie, don't bring it out in October. This is some stupid shit. Like
Totally.
People are watching
Yeah.
they're watching old horror movies. You're competing with the classics, and then maybe the studio heavy hitters or
Halloween
whatever.
Ends and all that. That's a whole other thing. But,
I don't want to shit on anybody.
Yeah, me neither.
Barbarian, on the other hand, amazing.
Oh my god, I did love Barbarian.
That's my favorite movie. That's my favorite horror movie of the year, I gotta say. But anyways, it's an aside. We should talk about that off camera. Yeah. But anyway, So you have to rise above the noise, is my point, and you have to constantly market the film. You are not done marketing the film once the film comes out. You need to have one person who's at least agreed upon to stay and monitor the things. Be the voice of the production. Be in charge of Twitter, and do fun things on social media too. We treat our Twitter. There's a couple people that help us with the Twitter, but we treat our Twitter like the cult is real. Like we shot a documentary, and we're always inviting people to a dinner party. Like, hey,
wow.
we're just down the street from you. Why not? Come on down. Da, da, da. And so people like are engaged in something funny, and most of them know it's like it's obviously kind of whatever it is, but it keeps everyone engaged, and so they're all we find out new things. Like if it's like, I don't know, 4th of July, we're like, we're having a barbecue down in the Silla Del Mar. We'd love to have you. So.
So how many people are on your team that's still taking part in the marketing at this level?
We all, right now, year 1, it was a lot more. It was like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of just me, frankly, because if I'm being honest, because like, look, we're not if we come out on like all the AVOD platforms and things start getting real crazy, I'll bring some other people back on. Right. But why have to pay somebody? I'll keep the money in my pocket, right?
Totally.
Like we my producing partner, myself, and David Marmer, we're the main investors in this. We're the investors in this movie. So we're hopefully getting very close to seeing all the money back and stuff. It's been very successful. But the problem is you go to distribution. Like we have actually, to be fair, we have a very honest distributor, an honest-ish distributor. I'd say it that way. Because look, these guys have been doing it for so long, where it's just accepted that they do the padding. They do the padding. Oh, well, that trailer cost us $10,000. Really? Because I know it must have cost $3 to $4, right?
Yeah.
Your poster was also $6,000. You can make a poster for $1,000. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
Although to be fair to them, we did go back and we put them through the ringer, both on the trailer and also on the poster, because I used to not only did I test movies, but I also tested trailers. Right.
Oh yeah.
And so I was just like, all right, you're giving away the whole fucking movie here. We cannot do this. We need to we did things in that trailer where we even switch the voice, switch voices that aren't actually the people.
I'll have to watch the trailer again.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If people haven't seen the movie, don't watch the trailer. Just go in cold. We find that people enjoy the movie more that don't know anything about the film.
Yeah, much like Barbarian. Same.
Yeah. Oh, exactly the thing I did with Barbarian too. I was like, what is this? What's going on here? And it was amazing. It was a great journey. But but we actually got nominated for a Golden Trailer Award for the trailer, actually. And we didn't make it. We were giving suggestions. Obviously, the guy that made it,
Right,
it
right.
was great, and he'll do the next one too. But we lost to the Joker, by the way. We were the only independent film in that category. We lost to the Joker. What are you gonna do? You know, fucking Joker. But we crafted a very good campaign that way. Also, I thought the poster was effective too, in terms of what we had. And I would also tell you, if you do watch it on Netflix, please watch it on Tubi or a Freebie. If you're gonna watch it now, I'm just gonna say, because it's gonna be broadcast then when it's out. Just do watch it there. If it's on Netflix, no.
That money's spent.
That money's not. That's the very little money that they gave us. Here's a fun fact. Netflix rejected us twice.
Really?
They rejected us twice before they took us the third time. They took us the third time because we did, very well on VOD, on TVOD, right? And we had to show them the numbers, and they were like, "All right, we'll take you. We'll give you very little money, but we'll take you." And we were like, "Thank you." But only because we thought there could be a sequel, and we wanted the most amount of people to see it. Yeah. And we found out basically in May they were going to take us, and we couldn't say anything about it because we were still doing our TVOD thing. We wanted to make money that way until like really literally a week before the movie was going to release in August 23rd or 20th or something like that. Right. So, but like it gave us a reason to keep on doing the podcast and stuff and everything else, because once the awareness was there, and all of a sudden people who were too lazy to pay for it or didn't want to pay for it, they could see it, for their Netflix subscription and stuff. It was another thing that helped build that. The other thing I was going to say that I forgot to say earlier in regards to the Rotten Tomatoes stuff is that people think Rotten Tomato scores don't matter for horror movies, but I'll tell you this. It's fucking bullshit in this day and age. Okay. Also, it's bullshit if your movie actually isn't a straight up horror movie. Technically, our movie is a psychological thriller with elements of horror. So we skirt the line between thriller and also horror. Yeah. If you can have a movie that's a subgenre like this, it's even better for you because more people will check it out. Now, does Rotten Tomatoes actually matter to horror fans? Not as much as you think, obviously. They're willing to put up with a lot. But does it make sense for people who like thrillers? Abso-fucking-lutely, right? The other thing is, on iTunes, if you want it, they'll put that Rotten Tomato score right next to your movie. So when people are scrolling through and like, 88%? All right, I'll watch it. I'll give that a chance. The other thing is this, AVODs. Peacock is putting that score up too. A lot of them are putting that score up now. So when people try to tell you it doesn't matter, tell them to go fuck themselves. It does matter, and you need to go do it yourself if you have to go do it yourself. Right. That's what we had to do for certain things. But that does matter, especially when people don't know anything about your movie. Your movie stars nobody. And look, here's the thing too. If you have like 8 reviews and they're all like, great reviews and this, that, but you sense that you probably could get dinged by a couple critics or whatever, maybe stop giving it to people. Keep your high Rotten Tomatoes score. Even if it's not certified fresh, it's still something that will draw people to seeing the movie, right? That's the other thing. That's it. That's why it's important, right? So anyway, hopefully these are good tips for the somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's great. How much your background in I'm sorry, you said film
market research.
Market research. I mean that had to play in so much into what you're doing here.
Well, you know a lot of times, a lot of things about when it's best to release. Sometimes you have a choice, sometimes you don't. For example, I would love to. We are going to make a sequel for this movie, just so you guys know. Nice. And hopefully, we're shooting the late spring, but this time we have a lot more money involved, so we can finish it hopefully by October. Do a little bit of a festival run there, just to boost awareness. We don't have to go all over the world like we did before, but we definitely would want to do a couple of things to start putting the breadcrumbs out there for awareness. And ideally, I would love to release the film in January. Well, why January? Well, because it's a shit month for movies typically. And what's more, people are tired of the Oscar stuff or they're whatever. There's always been 1 or 2 horror movies that pop in that month that really pronounce, they had good marketing campaigns, like The Devil Inside, for example, like $30-something million opening weekend, starring nobody, found footage, blah, 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 right? There's always a film that does something really well in there. And now that the studios aren't making enough films, to fill every single week of the year. And then they also sometimes like to compete against each other, you know. So like, what's coming out this week? Not a lot, you know.
Yeah.
What the movie Terrifier 2 did, right?
Yeah.
Is entirely possible in my mind, because here's the thing: it's entirely possible if you have awareness of the property, awareness of the franchise. And with as many people that's watch us on Netflix and now Amazon and Shudder, let's say we're streaming on all three of those things. As many people have watched us there, we know that we definitely could have a theatrical audience for this film, right? For the next film. So I'd love to come out next January, for example. You know, maybe over the Martin Luther King holiday or something. Let's see, because you know, when you test horror movies, you also test it with more of ethnic audience. Actually, about 60% of your audience is ethnic in comparison to being white. Let's say, in fact, it's like 60% Hispanic and African American, and then 30% Caucasian, and then everybody else is what it is. So that's what you test with, and it's you know, if Martin Luther King weekend, there's a lot of African Americans coming to the theaters, then we'd be like, yes, because I mean that's what you got to think of, and that's what you're trying to sell this movie. That's what it is. So you got to think out every single angle you can. You know, yeah. So my background did help, is the thing. My background did help, and it's something that I think there's not a lot of you know, market researchers that go on and make movies and stuff. And I think there should be more, frankly, because we've seen sort of the inside of that machine. And we've seen, like, I was a horror movie guy over at all the three companies that I was with. And I would always go to the Pacific Winnetka, which was like, really, if you could make it at the Pacific Winnetka, you can make it anywhere. Wes Craven, I mean, everybody, you name Alexander Aja, like everyone would go to test their horror movie at that particular theater. Sadly, it was one of the victims of COVID, in that it was owned by the same guys that I own ArcLight, and they just went under. And so that theater, they dismantled it, and they're selling the seats from it, and like, it's no more. But I learned a lot from sort of watching, you know, what those filmmakers would do. You know, like Jason Blum was a great example. Like he's so smart with the testing. Like he'd go back and change entire endings. He'd like take these like small budget films, like the movie Gallows, for example. That movie made like $14 million in theaters and was shot for very little money. And like, you know, he used a testing process to understand that ending was bad. Sinister had a different ending back in the day, right? A much less satisfying ending, I'll say that. But they went back, reshot that. I mean, it's all about, in some ways, seeing these filmmakers, the choices they made helped me learn as sort of, you know, being a producer, of what to do, what not to do. I mean, the main thing is, you know, on the script level, just try to figure out what the problems are there.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have as many friends and compatriots try to help you with it, to kind of figure out if something doesn't make sense or whatever. But it's just so much more expensive to go back and do reshoots. But you can't be against reshoots either, is the other thing too. If you know you can actually, in a tangible way, make it better, then you should. You know, the guys that did the movie Freaks, if you've ever seen that, the one with Emile Hirsch, it's kind of as a superhero movie.
Oh yeah.
They like they tested the crap out of that with like friends of friends and whatever else, and they had a great partner, Emile Hirsch. He would come back and just not even, they wouldn't tell SAG. He'd just come back and just call him up, hey, can you come shoot today? And he'd come back and shoot. He's like that nice a guy and stuff. Actually. Yeah. But like it's if you have to do a reshoot, do it, because look, at the end of the day, do you want to make something that's a piece of shit, or do you want to make something that's not? If it's something that's like time sensitive, I get it. If the investors are breathing down your throat and they're not going to give you a single other cent or whatever, I get it. It's like you said at the beginning, we're always sort of making excuses for our films like that. That's all. You know, my excuse for the film was that we were never going to have an excellent movie. You know, we got a very good movie, but we didn't have the money for an excellent movie. And that's kind of the truth to some extent. You know, it really was about the money, which time and resources and stuff like this. So
and I think it skirts it. It skirts excellent.
It does. I know what I am. Like,
So, man, that's great. So this has been really fascinating. Before I let you go, I did want to talk just for a minute about the trailer and poster. Like, what elements are the most like? So, of the two, you know, what do you think is more crucial when you're first starting to market a film?
Well, you know, people would argue, do you cut a trailer for your festival run? And I would tell you the answer is no for that. You can put together a scene or something to kind of show people get a sense of it. Like you give that scene the deadline, let's say, for example. the reason you don't cut a trailer necessarily for the festival run is because your distributor, you'll pay all this money to do it, let's say. Probably won't be if you do it yourself, it's probably not going to be as good as the guys that actually do it for a living.
Yeah.
And it's the first thing that people see about your film, right? And once it's out there in the YouTube sphere or whatever else, it's hard to pull that back and stuff, right?
Yep.
So I would wait till your distributor has it so you can go back and forth with them. And also find a distributor who's willing to go back and forth with you with it. Because some of them just take it like, this is ours, fuck you, I'm not listening to you, da-da-da. We know better, we're the distributor, yada, yada, yada. We luckily, we had, Dark Sky was our distributor, and they were very, they worked very they worked in tandem with us very well, and they were willing to listen to what we said. And I think what we said is actually like was very smart. We're like, look, that gives away the whole movie. Don't put that in there. Cut that 2 seconds shorter. Do this, do that. I want this is going to be it needs to be critic driven in a way. So we need to put in like sort of the best, juiciest bits of like of like one-liners that they've given us and stuff like that. There's one that says destined to be a cult classic or something. Okay, that goes in there. We work with them hand in hand to kind of figure out what the best things and stuff. So in terms of elements, like you have to decide what kind of film you have. Like if people are enjoying the film because of it just being a raunchy good time. It's more of a film like it's a splatter fest or whatever else. Hey, why don't you do when you have your premiere or whatever, if you have it in a theater, why don't you have a camera crew there and start getting people coming out of it, giving you testimonials, and then cut a trailer together with those testimonials, right? First, there's 2 things about that. One, it looks like the movie was playing in a theater, which it was. So it looks like it was like in the theaters. 2, it also looks like the word of mouth thing, coming back to the word of mouth thing. Me telling you the movie is a good movie is 10 times better than any trailer I can have paid to get cut. So if you have something like that's not quite good, but you can kind of like when the studios knew a film didn't test well, we just turned to them and be like, I guess it's gonna be the Bamboozle then, right? So now we're gonna cut a trailer. It's gonna give away the whole fucking movie. It's gonna give away the best parts. We're just gonna get you where we just need to get you in opening weekend, and then you can fuck off. Right. Like that's what it was. And sorry, but that if you don't have a great movie, then you need a great trailer. And might you need to give a lot of the movie away? Yeah, because guess what? You want to get your money back. At the end of the day, it's about getting your money back. Right. So that's the other thing you have to consider sometimes. Like say things didn't go your way. Well, we're gonna need a really kick-ass poster. I mean, the poster is so essential now because I feel like people have so much choice and they're just scrolling through shit. And like if they just stop on one, oh, that's interesting. I'll click on that. I'll see what that's about. Oh, now I'm watching your trailer. Oh, it's a good trailer. Okay, all right. I'll give this a watch. I got 15 cents from that. Like what it is. So yeah, and I think that these things nowadays are even more crucial than they were before. And if you're gonna like spend some money, those are 2 things you don't skimp on. I mean, look, if you wanted to have a chance at going on Netflix or Hulu or anything, which is it's by the way very rare now. Frankly, I think we got super lucky. With even being able to go on there for like the first for the premiere of our SVOD, like SVOD, excuse me. We got very lucky because they're very obsessed with their originals, right? Yeah. I mean, they mentioned us on social media. Netflix did one time, and they have like 5 different social media things that they could put us on or whatever. We were just in America. I mean, we were just in a North America. We were just in the U.S. and Canada, but one time social media. Wow. And we were in their top 5 for like 8 days. But everyone was just like, who is this little movie? Like all the different, like when we got to number 1, like Dread Central, like all the different horror sites are like, this movie got to number 1. This movie was made for nothing. Like they all wrote articles. They all like, did stuff for us and everything. But Netflix, not one thing. But that's because they're obsessed with their originals and stuff like that. So you have to understand that if you want to be on Netflix, you have a very small chance. I can just say that. Yeah. 2, if you're going to be on it, then you have to have good sound. You have to have good picture. You can't have the fucking boom mic over there. You have to have decent acting. Cousin Larry can't be in the film, even though he funded the film, right? Like, you have to have, like, it has to not look like it's film school to some extent, which ours, just skirts that line in certain parts, but like, thankfully it gets past it in certain respects too. But you have to have like, spend some money on it. That's why I think it's tougher for anything that's like micro budget. To ever have a chance at being on any of those sort of like premium services and so that. I mean, they'll put you on AVOD all day, and there's stuff that looks like, I mean a YouTube video in the backyard and stuff like that. Totally. Yeah, I mean, well, this is a different subject matter, but let's finish this, and I'll tell you about something else.
Okay.
Sorry. Anyway, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. No, that was fine. That was fine. Yeah. All right, man. Well, look, it was good talking to you for the show.
Oh yeah,
So we're having AVOD in January.
January 1.
Okay.
So if you could release this somewhere, maybe like the 3rd or 4th or something
Yeah.
in there, that would be great. Fourth might be better, just to make sure that we're on.
Yeah.
We
Hold
should be.
on one sec.
We've been told that